welcome viewers. I'm Pia and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour. US President Donald Trump has announced that he will block Israel's West Bank annexation plans, declaring that it is not going to happen. He's also signaled progress on a Gaza deal and has hinted at a possible peace pact. Yemen's Houthis have claimed that Israeli airstrikes have killed 2 and wounded 48 in Sana'a, calling the attack brutal. This comes as civilian casualties mount in the rebel-held capital amid escalating tensions. Donald Trump has signed an executive order to sell TikTok's U.S. operations to American and global investors, valuing the deal at $14 billion. The move aims to address national security concerns with key investors like Michael Dell and Rupert Murdoch involved. FBI Director James Comey has denied criminal charges, claiming innocence after indictment for false statements and obstruction. Meanwhile, U.S. President has celebrated his indictment, calling Comey one of the worst FBI directors and has urged further action. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced 100% tariffs on branded and patented pharma products starting the 1st of October. New duties also target kitchen cabinets, furniture, and heavy trucks as part of the latest trade move aimed at boosting domestic manufacturing in the U.S. Russian President Vladimir Putin has met IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi in Moscow in order to discuss nuclear energy, non-proliferation, and safety. Grossi, meanwhile, has expressed gratitude for support, highlighting ongoing efforts in nuclear security and global cooperation on energy challenges. US President has held a productive meeting with Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Army Chief Asim Munir at the White House, discussing regional security, bilateral relations, and global challenges. Donald Trump has met his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan at the White House and has urged Turkey to stop buying oil from Russia amidst the war in Ukraine. Trump has also discussed sanctions, F-35 fighter jets, and Turkey's influence over Moscow in the conflict. Well, viewers, those were the headlines and our top focus. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is all set to deliver a defiant message at the UN today, rejecting a Palestinian state while facing rare pressure from US President Donald Trump, who is meanwhile seeking a deal on Gaza. Reports indicate that Netanyahu opted for a significantly longer flight route, avoiding the airspace of several European countries due to an international criminal court arrest warrant alleging crimes including starvation as a method of warfare. His flight path, in fact, avoided France and Spain in particular, especially since France and other Western powers, including Britain, had recognized the Palestinian state, even as Israel continues its 2-year offensive in Gaza. Netanyahu's flight path did, in fact, pass over Italy and Greece before rerouting through the Mediterranean. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has long rejected a Palestinian state, while his far-right allies consider annexing the West Bank. This has prompted Donald Trump to warn Israel against annexation as he pushes a peace plan in Gaza that would include the disarmament of Hamas. Listen in to what U.S. President Donald Trump had to say.
Quickly on Gaza, did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? Is that something that you
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow.
Meanwhile, in a video speech to the UN, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas had rejected Hamas's October 7th attacks on Israeli civilians, including hostage takings, and it stated that Hamas would have no role in governing the Palestinian people. Take a look.
فإننا نرفض ما قامت به حركة حماس في 7 أكتوبر من أعمال استهدفت المدنيين الإسرائيليين وأخذهم رهائن، لأن هذه الأفعال لا تمثل الشعب الفلسطيني ولا نضاله العادل من أجل الحرية والاستقلال. ونرفض الخلط بين التضامن مع القضية الفلسطينية ومسألة معاداة السامية، والتي نرفضها انطلاقا من قيمنا ومبادئنا. ولن يكون لحماس دور في الحكم، حيث يتوجب عليها وغيرها أيضا من الفصائل تسليم سلاحها للسلطة الوطنية الفلسطينية.
There we've heard it from both Donald Trump and Mahmoud Abbas. Meanwhile, joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Peter Baum, foreign editor at the Weekly Blitz, joining us from London. Thank you so much for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. A very clear message by Donald Trump to Benjamin Netanyahu, as Netanyahu is all set to take the stage at the UNGA. Trump has announced that he will block Israel's bid to annex the West Bank, declaring that it is not going to happen. He has in fact signaled progress on the Gaza deal, stating that a peace pact is on the horizon. Is this now a move by the Trump administration to assuage the feelings and the concerns that the Gulf Arab states have had ever since the Israeli strike in Doha?
Okay, there's a couple of things to unpick here. And it's a very fast-moving story. I'll try and be as eloquent and as elegant as I can on this. The Trump statement on the annexation of the West Bank was necessary because, as we currently speak, there is a 21-point plan that the Trump administration has given to 7 of the closest of his Arab allies in order to bring the Gaza war to an end. Included in those points is that Israel must stop all current West Bank activity, incursions into the West Bank, in order to achieve the ultimate goal of getting the Gaza war stopped. So one runs parallel with the other. Now, as we've seen, for example, with the Donald Trump with Zelensky in Ukraine, he was very pro-Putin, let's say, and very anti-Ukraine, and now that position has completely reversed because of certain circumstances. It wouldn't surprise me that if the Trump initiative comes to fruition and the war stops in Gaza, then sometime after that, if Israel starts going into the West Bank again, starts making incursions and taking over land, he may not be as, not say influential, but he might not be as strong in his condemnation of Israel going into the West Bank as he currently is. But his statement on non-annexation of the West Bank is absolutely tied to the initiative that he has proposed in order to stop the Gaza conflict. Excuse me.
Indeed, sir. I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking further developments from New York. A series of shocking microphone failures rocked the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly during a high-stakes debate on Palestine, silencing world leaders at critical moments while also sparking a lot of speculation over sabotage. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's mic cut out immediately after he declared Canada's recognition of Palestine. Turkey's President Erdogan's audio also vanished mid-criticism of Israel, and Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto was silenced while pledging peacekeepers for Gaza. United Nations officials, meanwhile, insist that the glitches were technical and not a sabotage, but social media is abuzz with conspiracy theories. Take a look into some of the instances.
We are ready to take our part in this journey towards peace. We are willing to provide peacekeeping forces.
Apologies. I cannot hear the president. I lost his voice. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. This is the interpreter speaking. I cannot hear the president. His voice is gone.
All right, there, of course, you've seen instances of the microphones of the Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto and Turkey's President Erdogan vanishing. In fact, one of the interpreters also pointed out that she was unable to get access to the audio feed of Erdogan over there. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Peter Baum. Interesting, because social media is now abuzz. People are speculating sabotage, they're crying conspiracy. But this is not the only set of technical glitches we have witnessed. We've also seen the escalator stop functioning as soon as Donald Trump stepped foot on it. His teleprompter also did not work. What do you think is behind all of this? Are these genuine technical glitches?
Well, it could be something and it could be nothing. I'd be surprised if the Israelis sabotaged it, simply because if we take, for example, the speech of the Indonesian Prime Minister, he was remarkably conciliatory towards the Jewish state of Israel and suggested that he would recognize Israel under certain conditions. So it would be highly unlikely if the Israelis sabotaged him. And as you quite rightly say, there was speculation on social media when the escalator failed, when Donald Trump and his wife went up there a couple of days ago. So I wouldn't be too focused on social media. If anyone who has studied the United Nations speeches as I have will absolutely recognize that at various times, more often than not, there are glitches within the technical abilities of the UN. It's an old building. The people working there are not particularly competent. Security is quite lax, as we've seen going there. And of course, anything like this would get the world of social media abuzz. Now, it's potentially possible that this happened, but it serves no one's purpose. It doesn't do anyone any good. It doesn't serve the Israelis any good. It doesn't serve the anti-Israeli lobby any good. So anyone who did it was probably doing it like, what should we say, some of these people that go into cyber attacks on various companies. I wouldn't pay too much attention to this, unless, of course, in the next 48 hours, we find out that someone, a group or an individual or a country was certainly behind this. But for the most part, anyone who has followed people speaking at the UN will know from time to time that these glitches happen, as has happened in your own technical room just at the moment, where you couldn't get the Indonesian Prime Minister. This is one of the features, unfortunately, of modern technology and modern society. And on this particular aspect, I'm paying little attention to the social media players.
All right, so stay on with us as we continue to, in fact, track further updates. We're now learning that a senior Hamas official, Ghazi Hamad, has defended the deadly and dastardly October 7th attacks on Israel, stating that it created a golden moment for Palestinians by gaining global attention and support. Now, while speaking to an international news organization, Hamas has stated that there was no other option despite the high civilian death toll in Gaza from Israel's retaliation. He dismissed criticism from Palestinians who blame Hamas for the ongoing war and suffering. Hamas, meanwhile, denied using hostages as human shields and has stated that Hamas treats them according to Islamic rules. He's also blamed the United States for stopping ceasefire talks after an Israeli strike on Hamas leaders in Qatar. Hamas, meanwhile, insists that its weapons are legitimate and will remain so until a Palestinian state is formed. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Peter Baum, a foreign editor of Weekly Blitz. Interesting statement coming in from a senior Hamas official who has defended the terrorist attack that had taken place in Israel, stating that it created a golden moment for Palestinians, something that the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has rejected outrightly. In fact, in his speech yesterday through video conferencing. He had rejected Hamas's October 7th attacks on Israeli civilians, including the taking of the hostages as well. In light of this, any sort of peace pact that does come into play, what do you think will go ahead as far as the US's position is concerned?
Well, the Hamas statement was necessary for them because militarily it looks as if they will no longer be a threat to Israel. So what's left for them? Only room on the political stage. Now, as far as we know, only the most rabid anti-Jewish state commentators are supportive of Hamas. They have been rejected not only by even those who recognize the Palestinian state, but by the Palestinians themselves. And there's a growing momentum that the family clans within Gaza, rather than Hamas, will form part of any new government that is imposed on the Palestinians. So Hamas have been rejected totally, and statements like this are necessary for them in order to keep their credibility up within the global media, within the very with all those opposed to Israel, and amongst the Palestinians themselves. They have no other option than to make statements like this, because clearly there's no room for them militarily anymore. They have been and will be utterly defeated. Politically, they're hanging on by a thread, and this is all that they have to hang on to. I suspect that we will see more statements like this coming out from various Hamas spokespeople and those that support Hamas.
All right, sir, with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, speaking to us on NewsX World, sharing your perspective on these crucial developments. With that, viewers, we shift our focus to other news coming in. Severe tropical storm Waloi has killed at least 4 people as it crossed Luzon in the Philippines. This is according to the Civil Office of Defense. Now, visuals showcase damaged trees and roads filled with debris in Masbate province, with residents being evacuated in Leyte. One victim in Masbate was struck by a fallen tree, while another was crushed by a collapsed wall. Waloi, known locally as Upong, is currently near San Jose Occidental Mindoro, with winds up to 110 kilometers per hour and gusts reaching 150 kilometers per hour. It is moving westward at about a speed of about 20 kmph according to local media. You can see those visuals on your screens. Streets have been filled with water, completely submerged, as well as the severe storm has hit Luzon in the Philippines. With us on the broadcast is Desmond Majekudonmi, environmentalist from Lagos. Thank you for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. Southeast Asia has been grappling with these severe storms. We've recently seen Super Typhoon Bragasa absolutely wreak havoc in Taiwan as well as Hong Kong, and now Philippines is reeling under Waloi. A lot of environmental experts have pointed out to global warming as being one of the major causes due to which these typhoons and storms that are regularly seen, their impact being rather intensified this year.
Absolutely, this is the reality, and we were warned about this, decades ago by the International Panel for Climate Change. And 10 years ago, they were totally emphatic. Overwhelming majority of global meteorologists and scientists said that this would happen simply because we are heating up the atmosphere with heat-trapping gases, particularly CO2. And now we're seeing the manifestation of it. And, our hearts go out to the people. The people who have lost lives, families who have lost their people, but also the devastation and the panic, the horror and the terror it's unimaginable. those howling winds of over 100 kilometers blowing off your roof. You're hearing neighbors screaming, and then you're seeing people drowning in the water, and you're not knowing if you're going to be the next one. And it's happening in location after location. It is horrific. It is horrific. But the most worrisome thing is that it's not over. This year, there's still going to be some more of these things. And then next year, and the year after that, it's going to come back, and it's going to be even more voracious because we haven't reduced the global warming. It's a wake-up call to humanity.
And so, just a quick follow-up, rescue teams are on the ground. We can clearly see these absolutely spine-chilling images that are flashing on our screens, trees completely being uprooted as well. People have been trapped in the mud and debris. What, in your assessment, should the authorities on the ground do in order to mitigate the impact and provide relief?
Well, as they say, prevention is better than cure, but it's actually happening now, and this is the time to deploy whatever forces you can. The military are usually the best to do this type of thing because they're disciplined people and they know how to react in emergencies, but the people there, they need this type of assistance. But prevention is better than the cure, and we have to get together. We have to come together as humanity and say enough is enough. We're going to stop the pollution that is causing this because we know this is the cause. It's basic fundamental physics. More greenhouse gases, then you're gonna have more heat trapped. And the earth is not designed to operate effectively over a certain type of average temperature. So it's a wake-up call to humanity, for all of us to come together. And I do believe this is the silver lining on this very dark cloud because of organizations like yours that can link up the world, and especially the younger people. They're going to say, no, that's not the future we want. We want to have a safe world to live in. So it's a call for us to change our attitudes and be far more empathetic to each other by caring for nature, put people and planet ahead of the profit.
All right, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we shift focus towards more updates coming in. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba will visit South Korea from the 30th of September to the 1st of October. He has accepted an invitation from South Korean President Lee Jae-myung for talks to strengthen bilateral ties and security cooperation. The two leaders will meet in the city of Busan, according to the South Korean president's spokesperson. Ishiba and Lee last met in August in Tokyo, and this visit aims to build on their previous discussions. Meanwhile, the economy and security is in key focus. We do know that Japan and South Korea are currently negotiating with the United States of America in order to reach a deal. We do know that the Trump administration has been demanding billions in investments, something that Lee Jae-myung stated cannot be done if a currency swap deal is not agreed to as well. We do know that Ishiba also stepped down, citing concerns over strains to the Japanese economy as well. But despite that, drills are taking place between America, Japan and South Korea in the Indo-Pacific, citing threats from North Korea and the nuclear proliferation under Kim Jong-un. With that, viewers, we're shifting our focus back to Europe. French far-right leader Marine Le Pen has stated that sentencing former French President Nicolas Sarkozy to prison, which applies immediately rather than awaiting an appeal, is extremely serious for the country's judicial system. This comes as Sarkozy was handed 5 years in jail for criminal conspiracy over efforts by his close aides to procure funds for his 2007 presidential bid from Libya. during the rule of Muammar Gaddafi. His former presidential rival Le Pen, who was herself convicted in March of embezzling European Union funds and given an immediate 5-year ban on running for office, attacked the neutrality of the judges who made the rulings. Le Pen's appeal against her embezzlement conviction, which barred her from running in the 2027 election, will start on 13th January. Well, viewers, this is all the time we have for you right now with this bulletin. We'll continue to bring more updates. Meanwhile, we slip into a quick short break.